Y News with Angelo Castro III, William Theo, and Darlene Basingan.
Good evening. Over 300 families have returned to their homes after fleeing the attacks by the Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters or BIFF in Barangay Malagakit, Pigcawayan, North Cotabato. Prior to this, the returning evacuees underwent debriefing procedures.
The AFP is firm in its declaration.
At part ng briefing na yon is yung mga what to do at saka yung mga sino yung i-direct on. Nagkaroon lang kasi ng panic, ma'am, no, nung time na nagkaroon nga ng firefight.
Several evacuees still remain in shelters in Bulacawon Covered Court, stranded by flood. The government is set to deploy an augmentation force to Marawi City tomorrow from policemen of the Calabarzon region. Victor Cosare tells us why.
More than 200 policemen of Calabarzon region will be deployed to Marawi City to help in the battle against the Maute group. A send-off ceremony was held at Camp Vicente Lim in Laguna earlier for the 241 cops set for deployment to Mindanao. Calabarzon Police Director, Police Chief Superintendent Maua Plasca says 70 policemen from the Regional Public Safety Battalion will form part of the first batch of those to be deployed to Marawi City. Should the battle protracts to another month, the 171 cops from the Provincial Public Safety Company will also be deployed.
While we have our own problems here in Calabarzon, I think we have a more serious problem in Marawi. The security situation in Marawi and the neighboring provinces is not improving.
During an inspection earlier, police management noticed the lack of ammunition of cops, but Chief Superintendent Aplasca promised to complete their equipment before leaving for Marawi.
We need more equipment, particularly those who will be leaving tomorrow. So I have tasked the logistics officer to complete the basic load. We have until this afternoon to test all your firearms and other equipment.
Calabarzon PNP officials are hoping that their troopers will properly perform their duties. They are also aware of the fact that the cops' lives are on the line in saving the city of Marawi.
I want you to bring the banner of Calabarzon high. I want to see all of you in this formation again.
Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Meanwhile, the Department of National Defense or DND stands firm that soldiers could not commit abuses against women in Marawi City. Leah Ilagan explains why.
Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana defends military troops amid what he called as leftist groups' proliferation of fake news claiming the alleged abuses committed by soldiers by harassing women in the conflict-torn area. Secretary Lorenzana says the soldiers' lives are at stake in the ongoing clashes against terrorists. That's why it's impossible for them to abuse women. In fact, Lorenzana says 70 soldiers sacrificed their lives and many others were injured to defend the residents of Marawi City. The defense chief also notes that government troops underwent gender sensitivity and respect for human rights trainings. He then calls the leftist groups' spreading of the allegations as propaganda, which would only sow fear among communities. The defense chief dares them to present evidence and prove that they claim as incident of rape committed by soldier in Marawi City. Lorenzana also allays the fear of residents of Marawi City and appeals to them not to believe rumors. Leah Ilagan, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Aguinaldo.
Vice President Leni Robredo visited the evacuees from Marawi City early today and calls for unity to end the crisis in Mindanao. Victor Cosare tells us why.
Vice President Leni Robredo was in Balui, Lanao del Norte early today to personally see the condition of the evacuees from Marawi City. Robredo also asked what are still needed in the evacuation center. She says although there is no perfect solution to end the crisis in Marawi City, unity among Filipinos is important for the speedy resolution of the problem.
Hindi perpekto, pero kailangang pagtulungan natin lahat. Hindi pwedeng hindi tayo magtulungan kasi panahon nito na magkakaisa tayo dapat. Pagtulungan natin lahat at yung sa atin lahat tayo may responsibilidad makipagtulungan. Rather than mag-criticize tayo na mag-criticize, magtulungan na lang tayo kasi maraming pangangailangan talagang kailangan sagutin.
The local government and the evacuees were thankful for Robredo's visit. Among them is Alikan Hassan, whose wife gave birth to their child in the evacuation center.
Maraming salamat din at binisita kami dito. Kulang po kami sa mga gamit. Financial problem, yun ang pinaka-importante.
Nakita natin yung sinseridad niya sa pagbisita sa mga evacuees natin. Katunayan po, nagbigay siya sa akin ng calling card. Ang sabi niya sa akin, kung mayroon pang pangangailangan ng munisipyo mo tungkol sa mga evacuees mo, tumawag ka sa akin, personal direct sa akin.
The evacuees are still hoping that the fighting in Marawi will end the soonest time possible. Meanwhile, Vice President Robredo, for her part, says that peace in Mindanao can be achieved if the peace negotiations with the Moro rebels will succeed.
Ang paniniwala natin, kailangan seryosohin natin yung peace process. Yun yung hinihingi nila mula pa noon. At dapat maipakita natin sa kanila na seryoso tayo.
Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
And experts say the crisis in Marawi City brought about by the terrorist Maute group may be replicated somewhere else in Mindanao. Roderick Mendoza explains why.
Experts believe there is a big possibility that the Marawi crisis may be replicated if the government will continue to fail in solving the perennial issues on poverty and greater autonomy for the Bangsamoro.
Napakalaki ng posibilidad na maulit ito, lalo kung hindi naman na-address ng central government yung ng gobyerno, yung socio-economic development ng Mindanao. Una yon. Pangalawa, yung right to self-determination struggle ng Bangsamoro.
Government data last year shows 11 of the 20 poorest provinces in the country are in Mindanao region. First on the list is Lanao del Sur, which include Marawi City.
Dapat magkaroon ng mga development, livelihood generation para kahit may extremist na pumunta, no, or mag-usbong doon, hindi niya maikakalat ang ideolohiya niya.
The sentiments of the Muslim community on the current government setup should be understood as well.
For decades, for centuries in fact, the Bangsamoro have been victims of divide and misrule. Not only divide and rule, but divide and misrule by governments, by previous governments. Sana, hoping kami na sa bagong administrasyon, sa administrasyon ni Duterte, matuloy na itong planong pagkakaroon ng Bangsamoro government.
President Rodrigo Duterte himself agrees to an autonomous Bangsamoro under a federal system.
Pabor ako dyan sa revolusyon, hanapan natin ang susunod. Pabor ako sa hinihingi ni Murad, hanapan natin ang susunod. They want to carve out a territory, payag ako. Sa federal type, payag ako.
The proposed law for the creation of Bangsamoro has been completed and will be presented to Congress this July. Roderick Mendoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The Bangsamoro Transition Commission says there is no delay in the schedule of the submission of the final draft of the Bangsamoro Basic Law to Congress. Rosa Licos explains why.
About a week ago, President Rodrigo Duterte promised to submit the draft of the Bangsamoro Basic Law to Congress on time.
BBL tapos na. And the MI will give it to me. I will sign it on sa interpreter.
Ang MI lang is we make a promise that it will be on time. And sa edit kita, we will make in Malacanang. And if I find things in order, I will sign it and wait for the document, the formal one, and I'll send it to Congress.
The government implementing panel for the Bangsamoro Peace Accord said the Bangsamoro Transition Commission or BTC already agreed on the final BBL draft. The initial target to submit it to the office of the president was on the second week of June. However, BTC said President Duterte wants House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez and Senate President Aquilino Coco Pimentel to be present when the second BBL version is submitted. However, both Alvarez and Pimentel are out of the country. The next preferred schedule to endorse the proposed bill to Congress is on July 10, and BTC said this schedule is still on track. In his Eid Fitr message, MILF Chairman Alhaj Murad Ibrahim encouraged his fellow Muslims to pray for the passage of the BBL in the near future. Meanwhile, tomorrow night in Malacanang, President Duterte will lead the formal celebration of Eid Fitr for the end of Ramadan or month of fasting of Muslims. Rosa Licos, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Motorists traversing major parts of EDSA are now experiencing light to moderate traffic. Nel Maribuhok is in EDSA Philam to tell us why live. Yes, Nel, go ahead.
Darlene, today is holiday, so our motorists can expect light traffic situation in major parts of the Metro Manila. Let's take a look at the traffic situation here in EDSA southbound. At this hour, motorists coming from North Luzon Expressway going to Muñoz area will experience slow moving in Bansalangin and Muñoz area. But after passing through North Avenue, traffic will be light to Quezon Avenue, Timog na Paquiumart all the way to Pituazon in Cubao. Vehicles are also fast moving in Santolan all the way to SM Mega Mall. Motorists will experience light delays in Shaw Boulevard intersection because of huge volume of vehicles. But after that area, there will no longer be huge delays approaching Taft area. While in northbound going to Quezon City, no heavy traffic is observed from Ayala Avenue, EDSA, Guadalupe all the way to Ortigas Avenue and Cubao area. Let's check out our live points. In UP Techno Hub Commonwealth Avenue, motorists bound to Fairview, light traffic situation from Elliptical Road, Techno Hub all the way to Batasan area. Also to those who are going to Quezon City Circle, you will just experience slight delay in Tandang Sora area but fast moving all the way to Elliptical Road. In EDSA Cubao, vehicles going to Crame, light to moderate traffic situation in that area. Motorists in EDSA southbound also will experience light to moderate traffic flow. In Alabang Zapote Road, vehicles bound to Muntinlupa and SLEX, you don't have any problems in that road. Vehicles are fast moving. To those who are bound to Ayala, Alabang and Las Piñas, moderate to heavy traffic in that areas. In Recto Avenue, Manila, motorists who are going to Divisoria, light traffic flow in Recto Avenue intersections. Also to those who are going to Ligarda, light traffic flow in that area. And that is our traffic update here in EDSA. Back to you, Darlene.
Thank you, Nel Maribuhok, reporting live from EDSA Philam.
Next on Y News. The Social Security System, or SSS, is soon to seize properties of delinquent employers for non-remittance of employee contributions.
The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, suspends operation of the Pasig River ferry boat system due to a large volume of water hyacinth.
A lawmaker urges the government to maximize social media for HIV/AIDS awareness campaign.
Y News will be right back. waiting time will be much shorter in LRT Line 1 stations beginning tomorrow. Michael Miguel explains why.
LRT Line 1 train trips will be increased from the current 494 trips to 544 trips beginning tomorrow. The management of Light Rail Manila Corporation says they will increase their train service from 6 in the morning to 7 in the evening, especially during rush hour.
Napapansin namin kasi pagka tuwing umaga, no, dito sa Roosevelt Station, marami nang nag-aantay ng yung iba alas 4, alas 4:15 nakapila na. So nag-decide kang management ng LRT na agahan na lang ang umpisa ng biyahe.
This has pleased the riding public.
Sa mapapabilis po yung biyahe natin tsaka hindi po madidistorbo yung mga may pasok po sa trabaho.
Mas mainam po yun para po yung mga maaga pong papasok po, para makaaga po sila sa sa maagang pagpasok po nila.
Mas maganda kasi yung mga nagtatrabaho ng mga 6, at least nakakakahit sa malayo, nakakasakay na ng LRT. Mas maganda nga yun hanggang 12 ng gabi.
Likewise, LRT train operations will also be extended on weekends and holidays beginning on July 8. From 423 train trips on Saturdays, it will become 472 train trips. Meanwhile, on Sundays, the current 323 trips will be increased to 353. The said changes are results of the privatization, which allows faster solution.
Kung tatanungin ako kasi ako 28 years na ako sa LRT. Nahahawakan ko na yung line to dati, naging advisor na ako ng MRT3. So nakikita ko sa government kasi may process, no? Unlike sa private, kung talagang kung anong kailangan, mabibili mo kaagad at may implement kaagad.
Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Commuters will soon enjoy a continuous ride from Tutuban in Manila to Clark in Pampanga. John Ano tells us why.
The Department of Transportation or DOTR, together with several government agencies and international partners, led the marking of the 5 future stations of the PNR North Railway Project. Under the project, PNR trains would have trips running from Tutuban, Manila and Clark in Pampanga. The PNR project would also cover Valenzuela, Caloocan and Manila. Aside from this, future stations would also be built on Solis, Bocaue, Balagtas, Giginto, Malolos, Kalumpit in Bulacan, Apalit, San Fernando, Angeles, Clark International Airport and the new Clark City in Pampanga. The Clark Railway project would be 106 kilometers long and is worth 225 billion pesos. The project will be funded by an official development assistance from Japan. Japan International Cooperation Agency is tasked to create the design and to study the new train system. As the Transportation Department seeks for its immediate use of millions of passengers, it requested JICA to immediately complete its construction by year 2020.
Yun ho yung gusto ko. Kung susundan nyo yung mga may proyekto, gusto nilang tapusin muna yung buo. Pag tinapos mo yung buo, baka humaba ang panahon yan. Ang gusto ko sana kung matatapos, halimbawa, kung ilang stasyon ba to? 14 or 17? Kung matakatapos ka ng 7 at pwede nang operating yan, hindi ba mas magandang umpisahan ko na lang?
Upon its completion, the current 2-hour travel time from Manila to Central Luzon will be 55 minutes. The DOTR estimates that more than 300,000 passengers can benefit daily from the first year of the operation of the Manila to Clark PNR. The Transportation Department and Department of Public Works and Highways are now addressing the issues on the right-of-way on areas and residents that might be affected by the project.
Dati hanggang malulus lang. Hindi naman makadiretso ng Pampanga. Maiwasan namin lahat ng traffic sa buong Mikawayan, buong Metro Manila. Kung sobrang traffic,
Isimulan lang gawin ngayon ang istasyon ng Mikawayan. Kaya maraming natutuwa at kung saan man kami pupunta, paluwas, pauwi sa amin sa probinsya, mabibilis na ang aming biyahe.
Joan Ano, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
A senator says the fare hike in the Philippine National Railway Service next month should be reasonable for its passengers. Nel Maribuhok tells us why.
In the 5 peso increase in fares in the PNR, about 1 million pesos will be added to the monthly income of the Philippine National Railway. Senator Laila de Lima said if such is the only solution for the needed fund for the maintenance of PNR trains, it is already reasonable for the improvement of train services. The PNR meanwhile assures that train maintenance and services improvement are the only reason for the fare increase.
Kailangan namin ng dagdag na tao para makapag-pursue din kami yung night maintenance. So, ibig sabihin, ma-full blast din namin yung maintenance sa gabi abang after our revenue operations.
Beginning July 1, from 10 peso minimum fare, it would become 15 pesos for the first 14 kilometers. In line with this, the PNR believes that a proposed law in the Senate that aims to amend the PNR charter would help in improving the train system. Under the bill, the capital stack of the PNR would increase to 100 billion pesos to 250 million pesos.
I-appraise namin ng bago yung aming mga assets. So makakatulong na yun ng husto para sa financial status din ng Philippine National Railways at nang sa ganun makabangon din, makabawi rin at maibalik namin yung aming glory days.
The proposed law also covers the exemption of taxes for importation PNR trains, railway materials, equipment and spare parts, which would hasten the improvement of the services of the PNR. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority temporarily suspends the operation of Pasig River ferryboat system. Monokson will tell us why.
This drone shot shows huge volume of water hyacinth in Pasig River. These clusters apparently came from Laguna Lake, being washed downstream into the Manila Bay. But during high tide, these floating clusters are pushed upstream, clogging the river. Metropolitan Manila Development Authority says this is the reason they suspended the operation of ferry boats. They find it hard to navigate through the river with clusters of water hyacinth obstructing their way. Oftentimes, boats are hit by floating debris which could put the passengers at risk.
Tulad yan, medyo sa ilalim yan, mga matatatag. Yung mga yan. Yung boat natin, fiberglass. Tapos ang epekto dyan, yung propeller, napakamalo sa maintenance.
This is a model of the ferry boat used by passengers. It is only made of fiberglass and a direct hit from a piece of wood could break it. In fact, its propeller is already damaged by debris. According to MMDA, limited trips of the ferry service might continue until the problem is addressed.
Pasensya po muna at na talagang hindi kakayanin ng mga boat natin gawa nung sa water hyacinth na to.
Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Meanwhile, the National Food Authority is planning to increase the buying price for local procurement of palay. Ray Pelayo explains why.
The National Food Authority has its hands tied to only 17 pesos per kilogram on its buying or support price for local procurement of palay. In the previous harvest season, the agency bought less because the traders offered a buying price of up to 21 pesos per kilogram. This is the reason why NFA is now proposing an increase on their buying price.
Itong main cropping, makikita natin kung magkano yung presyo at doon magiging mag-base yung magiging recommendation ng NFA na itaas ang presyo if ever.
The Pantay Bigas Group urges the NFA to increase the volume of local procurement to 25% of the country's total rice production from 10%.
Kung tutusin, may bigas tayo pero hindi kontrolado ng gobyerno dahil nasa mga negosyante ang ating bigas.
NFA says it is favorable for them if their stocks are bought locally because local produce lasts longer. But the problem is the agency needs more funds, especially for subsidy. In 2016, the government allotted 5.1 billion pesos for NFA's rice subsidy. This is due to the difference between the cost of milling as compared to the selling price of rice in markets. NFA sells regular milled rice at 27 pesos per kilo and 32 pesos for well-milled.
Hindi naman namin gusto talaga yung mag-import ng bigas dahil pagka bigas na nasa warehouses namin, ay madali itong matira.
In June 28, the Mantay Bigas Group will have a dialogue with the Department of Agriculture to tackle rice issues. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
And in other news, the Social Security system will soon seize properties of delinquent employers not remitting their employees' contributions. Joanne Nano will tell us why.
The Social Security system is just waiting for the approval of President Rodrigo Duterte for them to have the authority to seize properties of delinquent employers. The properties will serve as payment for unremitted contributions of their employees. SSS says this is legal as stated under mandate based on Republic Act 8282. But before the implementation, the President must approve the manuals of the said system. This includes issuing a warrant to subject a particular employer to an investigation and conducting hearings to hear the side of the accused employer. If these conditions are met, that is the time when SSS will issue their decision whether an employer is guilty or not.
Through warrant, makuha yung kanilang mga igagarnish namin yung mga deposit nila sa bangko once we have identified. Pwede naming i-levy ang kanilang mga asset o property para makatulong sa pagkukolekta ng bayarin nila sa SSS.
SSS President and CEO Emmanuel Dook, they are doing this measure to increase their collections. Some of the steps done by the SSS to raise their collection is their own version of Oplan Tokang, dubbed as Run After Contribution Evaders or RACE. SSS, in cooperation with CIDG and PNP, arrests delinquent employers who are not paying contributions of their employees. 2 months ago, an employer was arrested in Quezon City for not remitting his employees' contributions, which reached up to 6 million pesos.
Non-remittance of contributions ng Social Security law. 19 employees ang nandito. 2007 until 2011, all the 19 employees.
On the first months of 2017, SSS collection jumps to more than 52 billion pesos compared to last year's collection that reached 47 billion. Joanne Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The United Consumers and Filipino consumers plan to send a letter to President Rodrigo Duterte regarding the move of the Philippine Ports Authority to approve the increase of tariffs at the Manila North Harbor. Aiko Miguel explains why.
The United Filipino Consumers and Commuters are complaining of the recently approved 24% tariff hike by the Philippine Ports Authority or PPA on all cargo going through the Manila North Harbor Port Incorporated. The group says the move is unreasonable as there had been no consultation conducted with consumer groups. The group has initially opposed the initial plan of 37.45% tariff increase. UFCC President Rodolfo Javellana says it might result into rise in prices of goods in the market.
Ito po ay malinaw na pass-on sa ating mga mamimili o consumers sapagkat ang mga dumadaan pong mga importanteng kargamento sa Manila North Harbor napakalaking porsyento po na ginagamit ng mga manufacturing sector at yung mga gawa ng mga produkto ay malaking bulto ay diyan din po nagdadaan.
Memorandum number 4 signed by PPA General Manager J. Daniel Santiago states that the tariff increase will be implemented in 3 tranches. First 8% increase will be implemented this year. The next 8% will be on 2018 and the last tariff hike will be on 2019. The UFCC also argues that the reason of the PPA for the tariff hike did not match. It can be noted the PPA notes the tariff hike is because of the increase in world crude oil prices. The group says the PPA released its decision during the period when the prices of petroleum products were low. It further notes that other ports may follow suit with the tariff hike. Because of this, the UFCC will write to the PPA for it to explain its decision. It also plans to send a letter to President Rodrigo Duterte to appeal the said move by the PPA.
Alam ba ng presidente ito ang nangyayari dun sa mga ginagawa ng kanyang mga economic manager? So we are appealing to the president na please pakiano po, mahal na Pangulo, pakiaral po itong mga desisyon na ito.
UNTV News asked for a comment on the PPA which has yet to answer our questions. The UFCC says the increase in tariff is already a heavy burden for consumers, especially there is an impending increase in excise tax and the DTI's plan to remove suggested retail price in market goods. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
About 80 drug surrenderers have completed undergoing the drug rehabilitation program of Las Piñas City. Senator Cynthia Villar, meanwhile, offers a vacant land in the city as a startup project for them. Grace Casin tells us why.
After finishing a 2-week training, about 80 drug surrenderers from Las Piñas City finished undergoing the local government unit's drug rehabilitation program. This is the second batch of the surrenderers who finished the said program. Alongside the graduation was the conduct of a harvest festival where the former drug users could bring home or sell the fruit of their harvest. Senator Villar meanwhile plans to allow the graduates to use for planting the vacant lands in the city and to build a weekend farmers market where they can sell their products.
So, anuhin namin na i-partner tong mga graduates namin for them to build vegetable garden para at least yung pagkain nila, masambot na nila, plus kung sumobra, maipagbili nila. And I'm intending to operate a weekend farmers market do sa aming mall sa Villar Sipag para may outlet sila ng kanilang produce.
The senator also eyed to build another drug rehabilitation center in the city of Las Piñas.
We're trying now to build a drug rehab center dito sa Las Piñas, which we hope we can finish by December. Oo. Para dalawa, two prone. Yung hindi masyadong grabe sa community-based rehab center, yung grabe dun sa drug rehab center na dapat.
Drug surrenderer Jason Santa Ana says such a program greatly helps people like him.
Pag ano po yung mga barangay namin po na magano nga ng mga bakanting lote, matatanim ko po kami. Para mayroon din po kami sariling ani, para magkaroon din kami ng buhay. Maganda po yung programa niya na ganito para makatulong sa amin lahat.
It can be recalled that more than 100 drug surrenderers finished undergoing the training for the said program last March of this year. In August, another batch of drug surrenderers is expected to undergo the training. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
A lawmaker is urging the government to intensify its awareness campaign against HIV and AIDS. Joyce Balancho will tell us why.
More cases of HIV have been recorded in the last months according to the latest record of HIV/AIDS and ART Registry of the Philippines or HARP. In their April 2017 data, there are more than 3,000 cases recorded in the country this year. Most are young males aged 15 to 35 years old. House Assistant Minority Leader Congressman Harleen Neal Abayon III says this is because there has not been enough information campaign by government on HIV prevention. Congressman Abayon believes the government should come up with appropriate campaign materials and maximize the use of social media to attract the youth.
Everyone basically uses social media these days. So if they can relate to it, it's attractive in their eyes. Madali na for them na sila mismo yung mag-share ng campaign. So it can easily create yung mas trending ba kumbaga yung awareness campaign.
He adds teachers should be given more training on relaying the message of HIV/AIDS education and prevention to students.
We're trying to create awareness campaign. So dapat yung mga teachers, kasi sila naman talaga nagtuturo, they're the ones in the school teaching the children. So mas dapat ipagandahin din yung modules na ginagamit nila na yun nga, nakaka-relate yung youth talaga with the risk of HIV transmission.
The Department of Health or DOH has earlier confirmed that they are partnering with the Department of Education to spread awareness on HIV. DOH Secretary Pauline Obial says part of their comprehensive prevention and control program is strengthening the curriculum in schools that will focus on reproductive health education, early HIV testing, and counseling. DOH also says they are teaming up with the religious organizations for information and awareness-raising activities. Joyce Balancho, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
A song composition from overseas was named as the Song of the Month during ASOP TV's monthly finals. Robbie De Guzman explains why.
Nainis ako sa kanta na to. Nainis ako eh. Bakit? Kasi wala akong makitang mali. Uy!
This was how resident judge Doc Mon Del Rosario reacted on the song Ikaw Panginoon during the monthly eliminations of a Song of Praise Music Festival on TV or ASOP TV. The song received no unlikely comments, just pure praises from the rest of the judges.
I like the glam rock feel of the song. So medyo para siyang daughtry, medyo ganun yung feel ng song. gutsy yung lyrics. Well, nakakainis naman talaga kasi minsan you would wish na naisip mo to, no? Pero naisip mo na, so hindi na kita uunahan. So ginawa mo na to. So, yun yung inis namin eh. Siguro yun eh. Doon ang gagaling.
I really like the melody, and I like the chorus only because may repetitive, yung binigyan mo ng diin yung, kasi di ba there are many ways, pwede mo namang sabing, Panginoon, gustong-gusto ko yung ikaw, Panginoon, ikaw ang aking kailangan. I think you just gave more emphasis that you really need the Lord.
The song was a collaboration of two overseas Filipino workers in UAE, Jonathan Bobbies and Jocelyn Canlas.
Salamat sa Diyos. Grabe, unang-una sa lahat. Salamat po sa Diyos. We are really grateful. Speechless po. Wala po akong masabi. Salamat po. Salamat, Aso.
The song's interpreter was also overwhelmed that the song he interpreted won. It was his first time to join as an interpreter in a songwriting competition.
Hindi ko pa rin ine-expect na mananalo kasi maganda rin yung song nung dalawang entry. So hindi naman sila mananalo pag ng weekly kung hindi maganda. So naging panatag lang yung loob ko nung tinawag na yung pangalan, saka yung song ng kanta. So maraming salamat kay Jonathan and kay Jocelyn. So maraming salamat sa opportunity na natanggap ko.
The song Ikaw Panginoon bested in monthly finals the song Alay Ko Sa'yo by Rogelio de la Cruz of Antipolo and the song Aliping Walang Kabuluhan by Bernadette Ann Pestañas of Bulacan. Robbie de Guzman, UNTV, News and Rescue, Philippines.
The ridge of high-pressure area is currently affecting the eastern section of Luzon. Pag-asa says Metro Manila and the rest of the country will be partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers and thunderstorms, mostly in the afternoon and evening. Meanwhile, Pag-asa sees no tropical cyclone to affect the country in the coming days.
Coming up, Chinese rescue workers take great risks crossing Roaring River to reach the landslide site.
It's a do-or-die game between PNP responders and the AFP Cavaliers at the UNTV Cup Executive Face-Off Finals happening in July 10.
And a Neapolitan Mastiff is a surprise winner in the annual Ugliest Dog Contest in the U.S.
More from Wine News after this break.
Jeff Horn may be the underdog, but Manny Pacquiao's camp says he's one that shouldn't be taken lightly. James Goss explains why.
Welterweight boxing champion Manny Pacquiao arrived in Brisbane on Saturday ahead of his world welterweight title defense against Australian challenger Jeff Horn. The 11-time world champion and his American trainer Fred Roach were greeted by eager fans at Brisbane Airport ahead of the Battle of Brisbane, a clash billed by local media to be the highest profile match ever held on Australian soil. 29-year-old Horn, a former school teacher, goes in as underdog against the 8th Division World Champion. However, the Pacquiao camp are not taking him lightly.
And just tapering off for the fight. I'm starting to get to that stage where I'm anxious and ready to just get in there and get the job done.
I like that. That's I'm expecting to him to come inside and fight toe to toe.
I never think this is an easy fight. This is a world title fight. I mean, the thing is, everything's on the line here. Everyone's going to show their best on this night. I mean, let's face it. I mean, this is a dream come true for anyone. So Horn, I'm sure he hasn't taken this lightly at all. And you know what? We haven't either. We never take a fight lightly ever. That's not the way Manny Pacquiao thinks.
The match takes place at Suncorp Stadium on Sunday, the 2nd of July. James Goss, UNTV News and Rescue, Australia.
The PNP responders and the AFP Cavaliers will meet at the UNTV Cup Executive Face-Off Finals. Bernard Dadis will tell us why.
Driving right. One-hander is good.
The PNP responders stunned the DOJ Justice Boosters in yesterday's first game. The PNP responders led in all 4 quarters of the ball game. Despite intense preparations, the Justice Boosters did not beat the responders' endurance and speed.
I take credit sa PNP, talagang pinagandaan nila kami. Saka maganda ng game plan nila for us. Maganda naman yung laro namin, talagang mas maganda rin pinakita ng PNP.
For the 89-77 win, the policemen advanced to the final series.
Sabi ko lang sa kanila, laro na kami na sa team. Yun lang. Saka sabi ko sa kanila na 2 game to. So, isang game na isipin natin. Pero huwag natin ibigay yung game na ito.
Both Police Superintendent Dexter Vitug and Police Superintendent Anthony Padua were hailed as the best players of the game with a combined 30 points. And in the second game,
ganda nung cut ni Paolo and the spin.
The AFB Cavaliers crushed the class of the 3 champions, Judiciary Magis, with a 16-point advantage. Through full-court defense, the soldiers were able to force the Magis to commit errors.
Yung unang talo namin, bali yung press break nila, yung pa rin na nakatalo sa amin eh. Medyo nagkakagulo sa pasahan, kaya medyo dumami na naman yung turnovers namin.
Brigadier General Hener Del Rosario and Colonel Kiram Graho were both hailed as the best players of the game with a combined 31 points. For these victories, the PNP and the AFB Cavaliers will battle for the title of the UNTV Cup Executive Face-Off at the Smart Araneta Coliseum on July 10.
Tingin ko ito yung grudge match na hinihintay talaga every time sa UNTV, PNP, AFB. Tingin ko may the best team win.
1 million pesos cash prize plus a trophy awaits the champion and $500,000 pesos awaits the first runner-up team. Bernard Dadis, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Saturday Night Fever dance floor could fetch up to $1.5 million. Abby Valdez tells us why.
The dance floor that has made John Travolta capture the 1970s disco craze is going up for sale next month. The dance floor that lit up in red, blue, and yellow in rhythm to the music was custom built for the 1977 movie whose soundtrack featured disco hits by the Bee Gees. It will go up for auction in Los Angeles during the June 26 to 28 Profiles in History Hollywood auction and carries an estimated price of $1 million to $1.5 million.
The movie Saturday Night Fever made this.
Those are the reasons behind the news. June 26, 2017. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am William Theo.
And I'm Darlene Basingan, because we need to know.
We will always ask why. Thank you for watching Why News.